Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I just got out of the shower, pardon the hair, and my doorbell rang and I got a package from KOH GEN DO. I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for sending this over to me. They sent over the new Aqua Foundation, and this is basically a reformulated foundation of an existing foundation that they have, which I have and love. And if you watched my Top 5 Tuesdays for foundations, this made an appearance on that list. So when I heard that they were coming out with a new formula, I was super excited. They had sent me the gloss film powder foundation to review, and they had mentioned that that gloss film powder technology was going to be in this new foundation, and that powder foundation is glorious. It's really beautiful. Anyway, watch that review if you're interested in powder foundations, but I thought I would just go ahead and do a full day wear test since I wanted to get this on my face ASAP. Anyway, I have the shades 113 and 123. I originally have shade 123, but I was much tanner when I first purchased this foundation, so I've lost a little bit of color. So they sent over both just in case, which was super generous. Again, thank you so much. So if you guys are interested in this newly reformulated Aqua Foundation from KOH GEN DO, then just keep on watching. I have a little product sheet here, so I'm just going to read off some of the highlights here. There are 10 shades. It is 1 fluid ounce. It is $67, which I think is the same price for their previous Aqua Foundation. If not, very close. No artificial colors, fragrance, petroleum-based mineral oil, or paraben. The launch was May 1st, and I believe you can get this off of their site, of course. And I've also seen it off of Nordstrom. So I'll link down below if you guys are interested in taking a closer look. Let's see. It's formulated with our signature gloss film powder to enhance longevity and create a breathable, lightweight foundation. It is supposed to brighten complexion, give you radiant, dewy skin, which you know I love, covers imperfections for a fresh, healthy glow, pores, covers redness and hyperpigmentation, and also freckles and age spots, which I have. They were charmingly freckles 10 years ago, and now these are like age spots. So I don't mind covering those up now. So awesome. So shades 113 and 123 these both have a yellow undertone, which works better for me versus pink undertone. Oh, there's like a little shaker ball in there. No, I don't think that they didn't have one in here. So I remember when I talked about this foundation on my channel, someone said that there was SPF in here, and I was like, really? It doesn't say there's SPF in here. And something about they are not able to label it with SPF in this country, something like that. It was some sort of labeling law. So I don't know if this has SPF or not. It does not say that it does on this product sheet. It's not stated on the bottle, but now we know it doesn't really mean much. So I'm not sure. So the bottle looks a little bit different from the original. Here's the original and here's the new bottle. So it's taller and a little sleeker. And I actually haven't worn this Aqua Foundation in a while because this is a foundation that I liked wearing in the warmer months because it has such a kind of lightweight feel to it. Let's do a little comparison here. So I'm going to pump out some 113, and it does have a pump dispenser on the top, which is great. And then let me pump out some of the 123. So it's very runny, so I'm going to do this quickly. This is 113 and this is 123. Just the slightest difference, and here it is worked out. So again, 123, 113. Hey guys, this is Editing Michelle. Anyway, I realized while I was editing this video that I did not have any comparison swatches of the new 123 and the old 123. So here's a picture of the new 123 on the left and the old 123 on the right. So on the right, it actually does look a little bit darker than the new one. I don't know if it's because my foundation is a little bit older than what they just sent me. And you'll also see that it runs a little bit less. So it is a teensy bit thicker, I think, than the newer formula. Okay, back to the video. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 123 on my forehead, and then I'm going to use 113 on the rest of my face because my forehead is so much tanner than the rest of my face. My hair is so crazy. I'm really sorry. All right, let's start with 113. I'm just going to start with one pump on the back of my hand and just dot that along the center of my face here. And I'm using my Sonia G Base 1 brush, and I'm going to work that in. Yeah, I think that's a good shade match for me. feel already that this new formula is not quite as radiant as the previous formula. I'm going to pump some of the old formula out and just see if I can see the difference here on the back of my hand. The older formula feels a little bit oilier. The newer foundation has just as much slip, but it doesn't feel quite as thick as the previous formula. I remember having to wait when I applied the previous formula, the original formula. I remember having to kind of wait for it to kind of set down because it did have kind of a thicker, oilier consistency. And you know, and with my dry skin, I definitely did not mind that much. But once it's set, it blended in really, really beautifully. It was so seamless. So I think there is a little bit of difference there. You're not going to see quite as much dewiness with this newer formula, but I still see a little bit of radiance here. It's definitely not a matte finish. I think it's much more of like a natural finish versus the original formula. I'm going to pump one more pump of 113 out, the lighter color, and use this around my eyes. Okay, I have that worked in. Now let's go in with the shade 123 and apply that to my forehead. And work this in with the brush. Okay, so there is one layer. I would say this is like a light to medium coverage. I can still definitely see a bit of my freckles here, some of my age spots kind of peeking through. A little bit of the redness around my nose is still showing. So this is the kind of coverage that I like. You know, you can still see my skin coming through underneath. I don't really like a mask of foundation. So this is perfect for me. I'm not going to build this up. Let's see if it says it is buildable. It doesn't say anything about whether or not it can be built up. I probably wouldn't go too much, not with this formula, because you can sense, I don't want to say you can feel, because it doesn't feel dry at all. It feels very comfortable in the skin, but you can definitely sense that there is like a powder base in here going on, and I wouldn't want to kind of mess with that too much. So I think one layer is really nice. I think maybe you can put on like a half a layer, like something very sheer to kind of get it up to maybe like a medium coverage. But I think this is probably ideal for this particular foundation. I think it's really, really lovely. It's definitely less radiant than, say, my Clé de Peau, the foundation. It's definitely less radiant than the La Mer Reparative Skin Tint that I also just reviewed. It's probably along the same lines as the Chanel Le Beige Healthy Glow. It's not doing anything funky in my trouble areas, which is like my dry, kind of eczema prone forehead over here. The area around my nose and my chin looks really nice. It looks very, very smooth. There's no like pore reaction to the oils on my nose. It seems to be very smooth. It's definitely setting down nicely. It doesn't feel tacky at all. It feels pretty dry actually, so that's nice. So if you've never seen a foundation review with me before, I don't put any primer down. I don't use concealer, and I don't generally use powder. If at my midday check-in I need to powder, I will put some on at that point, but I don't start off that way because I have dry skin. I don't generally have to, and with this formula, it really doesn't feel like I have to. It really set down very, very nicely. So I'm going to put on the rest of my face and I will be right back. Alright, so I have put on the rest of my makeup, and I've actually tried to film like 2 other videos using some new stuff. So I have the By Terry Sun Designer palettes on my cheeks and the new Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize Star Gold and Rose Gold on my eyes. Keep an eye out for those videos. They will be coming shortly after this one. So it's been a couple of hours since I started filming. It's about 11:30 now. I started filming at 9:30, and I can tell you already that this is one of those foundations that looks better as the day goes on. So my skin is starting to look softer, if you will. It doesn't look like I just applied makeup. You know, sometimes it takes a while for makeup to kind of sink in and meld and do all those things, and sometimes that's when foundations really fall apart. You know, when they interact with your oils, or they start to kind of like start to cling a little bit more. But this is one of those foundations where it's starting to look even more and more seamless, and it's really starting to give my skin like a really nice kind of blurred effect. I don't know if you can see it on my forehead. And again, I haven't powdered or anything. I've just added some bronzer, some blush, a little bit of highlighter, and that's a little bit of highlighter down my nose and on my chin. That was for the video's sake. So far I'm loving it. We're 2 hours in. I will definitely be back for a check-in, and then I'll be back at the end of the day to give you my final thoughts, so just stay tuned. Hey guys, I'm back. I completely missed the first check-in. It's just been a busy time at work, so I just kind of worked through the day. But it is about 5 o'clock now, so I have had the foundation on for about 7.5 hours, and I can say that this is a foundation that looks better as the day goes on, which I think is fantastic. And I didn't powder, if you remember. I didn't powder or put any concealer on. The coverage is like exactly the same as it was when I put it on. There's like no fading around my nose. There's no fading around my forehead, my jawline, my chin area. Everything is like exactly the same. Now, I didn't do anything strenuous today. I didn't go to like the dog park and stand in the sun for a couple of hours, but I did do a couple of errands. I did have to like run to the post office or whatever, so I did leave my house. And it looks exactly the same. I'm gonna zoom in. Here is my forehead area. This is not doing anything weird at all. And the nice thing about this foundation too, I didn't powder, and it didn't matter. Like the powders that I used over it, like the bronzer from By Terry and like the highlight and the blush and everything, just sits really, really nicely on top of this foundation without any powdering. And yet this foundation still had like a little bit of radiance to it. I find generally foundations with a little bit of dew to them that you really need to powder it down if you want powders to be able to blend nicely over it. Otherwise it kind of catches. It gets a little patchy. You have to work a bit harder to make sure everything blends in. But these applied beautifully. The foundation has stayed put. I think while upon first application, I was a little bit missing the radiance and the glow of the original foundation, of the original Aqua Foundation. I do feel like that goes on with a little bit more, for lack of a better word, a little bit more shine to my skin, which, you know, I happen to like. But this still had enough of like a natural, healthy glow to it that I was like, okay, it's fine. It looks nice. It feels great on the skin. It doesn't feel dry at all. And I think that this newly formulated Aqua Foundation has a better staying power. It's more consistent. Like the other Aqua Foundation, while it doesn't start to cling or do anything weird, that one definitely fades a bit. I remember it around my nose. It would start to fade a bit, like my redness would kind of come through. This one definitely has much better staying power. So I am incredibly impressed with this foundation. I'm gonna keep doing this so I can get some close-ups and zoom in a bit for you, because this is fantastic. This is a wonderful foundation. I know you guys are gonna ask me to compare to the other foundations. The Clé de Peau obviously has a much more radiance to it, and I feel like that has obvious skincare benefits to it. And then this has, I think, more coverage than either the La Mer Reparative Skin Tint or the Chanel Sheer Healthy Glow Moisturizing Tint that came out with the Beige line. So I think they all kind of serve different purposes, and this is definitely going into my rotation. This is really nice, and I think the shade 113 worked really well for me. The shade 123 worked really well on my forehead. I do think still the 123 may work on my face. You know, if I just bronze up my neck a little bit, I think it would be fine, because I don't think there is that much of a difference between the two shades. So there you have it. That is my review. Big thumbs up. This is really wonderful. This new gloss film powder that they created the powder foundation out of, that is in this foundation, is a wonderful thing. Whatever it is, it's kind of like magic. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Please comment down below if you have any questions whatsoever. I will try and answer them. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video.